Hey, buddy, Scoots. It's my daughter's birthday yesterday. Um, but hey, I'm getting ready to launch something. I kind of want to do an explainer about it. Over the next like 4 months, right now it's the middle of April. We're trying to do something pretty important, which is to make sure the podcast is going to be here in the second half of this year and for the next 4 years, like the next 4 months, the next 4 years. Uh, because paradoxically, this is a time where people have never needed the show more, right? And those times in the past have been the hardest times to keep the podcast going. And this is looking like an unprecedented one for Sleep With Me and every other podcast out there, unfortunately. Um, so yeah, that's the kind of paradox we're in. I'm trying to read some of the stuff I wrote too because it is something new we're introducing. So it's kind of the explainer part. Scoot, stay focused. Okay, so right now our goal is to get 1,500 super listeners out of 20,000 super listeners. Those are people that count on the podcast most, listen longest, listen all night long, listen to 2, 3, 4 episodes a week. To get 1,500 of those 20,000 people to support the show on Sleep With Me. Plus, there will be other ways to support, but this is kind of critical. And super listeners, like I said, are the people that fall asleep to the podcast every night. You've been listening for a year or years and years and years. You send out messages, you share episodes with people. You feel like the show is a part of your life. Like, is that you? It's not everybody, because Sleep With Me's listenership is a lot bigger than social media. So if it's not you, that's not as important. You're not who we're targeting, right? The show gets listened to hundreds and hundreds. There's a lot of people listening, but maybe you're one of those super listeners, because the thing is, like, you're going to be the ones that choose what's going to happen with the show. It's kind of out of my control. The podcast has always been free. We're not going to change that. Because so many people are not in a position to support the show. And so many people are just casual listeners. They aren't super listeners. But the reality is, like, the things are changing, right? Not just in the world, but they've been changing over the past couple of years in podcasting. And we just don't have, for the second half of the year, it's not looking like we don't have the membership numbers, and we don't have the ad numbers to cover our costs just of making the show. So the show is at a crossroads. It's been going that way. I've been talking about it for a couple of years. Didn't think it would happen this fast. And we've cut back over the past 2 years every place that we could have. There's still a couple small cutbacks I can make. And if we don't get to 1,500, I'm not sure what'll happen, to be honest. Like, if we get close, the show can still get by or struggle to get by. The show's not going to disappear tomorrow, but it's going to put us in a tough spot. And you're going to hear this on almost every podcast where people work full time. It's not just Sleep With Me. But the question about Sleep With Me is this a major part? Is this like a service that makes your life better? Because if we don't hit the goal, I don't know what I'll do. We'll try to figure it out, but it's going to making the podcast a lot harder to make the show that you rely on and that you count on, so that we can be there like we always have on a regular, consistent basis. But that's the stressful part. The good news is it's only 1,500 people out of the people that benefit the most. And because of the way, like, people listen on Apple and Spotify, we can see, like, that there's a big number of super listeners, people that really benefit from the show and in our position to take action to support the show. So we only really need to get 1,500 people out of 20,000 of the people that get the most out of the podcast, right? So I don't know if that's you, or maybe you're maybe you're not at that 20,000, you're in the next 40,000. You're a pretty super listener. So what else I got here? Because this, in the end, also the question you got to ask yourself, the goal of the podcast has never been to just be good enough for you to get by, right? The show is about making your life better, right? Of helping you get the rest you need so your life is easier. And that's like the general goal of the show, right? To be the podcast, a friend in the deep dark night. But really what I've always wanted for people and the stories I've heard over the years is people that are getting the rest of their needs so they can flourish. Just like in our personal lives, right? We want the people we love to flourish, not just to get by. And that's one of the things I've had to change in myself. It's like, I don't want your life to just be tolerable, right? And that's what Sleep With Me has always been about. It's like, yeah, if I can help bring you some comfort in the deep dark night, maybe your life gets better outside of the show. So that is, if you are a super listener, really what the question is going to come down to. Like, one, if you can easily replace Sleep With Me, I guess the answer is kind of there for you. But if you're on the fence, it's like if this podcast is made for you not to have to struggle. Sorry, I had to stop my timer. Like, do you want the podcast you count on, like to flourish or to barely get by? And I know this is kind of direct, but yeah, I mean, this is where we're at. And we're going to try to do this over the next few months, but this is the explainer. And I'm just kind of reading through all my notes. Okay, just as a refresher too, like, what do you get when you support the show? You get, depending on the tier you support the show, you get ad-free episodes, you get early episodes, you get exclusive stuff. If you're Boar Friend or Boar Best, you get all night intros, all intros, all intro episodes, all night episodes, bonus episodes. You get to be a part of Subscriber Summer. But it's, for the people that support the show, it goes way deeper into that, right? It's peace of mind. People count on the show and count on it being there for themselves and for other people. And people that support the show do get a lot of esteem and pride out of it. Even there's a lot of people that support the show that are just passive supporters, right? They're not on our Discord. They don't interact with me. But when I do hear from them, they say, yeah, man, like, I just want to support this thing because I feel really good, makes my life better. And then I know that, yeah, I'm one of these 20,000 people that really get a lot out of the show. What if, what is 1,500? 18,500 hardcore listeners will benefit by me for supporting the show. In addition to like hundreds of thousands of casual listeners or people that listen twice a week or 3 times a week, or kids that are in high school or college, like struggling, or people that are just temporarily listening after someone passed in their family, or they lost a pet, or they're just going through a breakup. They only need the podcast for a few weeks or a few months. Those people count on it too. And that's what supporters can feel really good about, is like, that it's like, man, 18,500 other people that listen like I do are going to benefit, and all these other people, because I've been through a breakup. I've had guests I've been on the road. I have my work schedule's changed. My sleep schedule's been off. Like, I've been all those other things too for those people that aren't super listeners. And this is a quote from a listener, like, supporting the show made me feel like I was giving back to something that gave me my nights and my life back. So if you're watching this, you may be one of the people I'm talking about. And again, like, you can decide, like, and you could take your time. It'd be great. The sooner we get there, the better. And again, like, you're going to hear this stress in a lot of other podcasts. I've been seeing it over the past couple months, but now we're starting to see, this was before the past 2 weeks, we're all stressed, but now, I mean, and I know you are too. So I guess, yeah, it's like, I don't know what we're going to do. Right. So if you're thinking like maybe you're going to do it later, or someone else is going to do it for me, I totally get that. That's a common thing. But there's a chance, if you're watching this video and you could think about, like, well, is Sleep With Me worth $60 a year? Do I get that much value out of Sleep With Me? Is it worth $120 a year? How many times do I listen over a year, or even over a month? Like, do I listen? Does it make my life $120 better, $240 better? Can you afford that? Can you cut back somewhere else? Because we're cutting wherever we can too. You could be one of these 1,500 people, or maybe we get even more, and then it's makes it like less stressful, or we can flourish. So you can sign up to support the show at sleepingbeautypodcast.com/plus. If you're not in a financial position to support the show, sign up for our newsletter. Again, we're trying to get people to there's other ways you can help the show. If you can't afford to help the show, right? We have our referral program and other stuff. Just sign up for our newsletter at sleepingbeautypodcast.com/newsletter. But yeah, if you're one of these 1,500 people, you're not just going to help yourself. You're going to help a lot of other people, and it's not, in the end, it's not, I don't know. Like, I just want to keep making this show, but I also know my limits, right? And I know how much work it takes to go into the show, and that's not important to most people. And it doesn't work as a part of these pitches, is talking about all the hours everybody puts in to make the show. It really comes down to, like, I just got to get the message, as I've been talking about for months. But I just didn't think it would hit this point, to the people that benefit the most from the show. And then again, like, wow, it's like, okay, we've got a pretty big pool. How can I get this message to get you to take action if you're one of those 20,000 people that listen like 3 times a week, like that have favorites. And again, like, if you're an all-night listener, yeah, whatever it is, like, but I also never, till I was just talking, it's like, and not only will you help all those other people, like 18,000 plus other people that really, really listen to the podcast a lot. Because we can't, there's not going to be, the ad support has never been enough to cover those costs anyway. But definitely it's not going to be, it doesn't look like it's going to be, because like the ads are like, when things are going well, we're making about 1 cent, or when things are going okay, per listen. So it's like, yeah, it's just not gonna, like, if you really get a lot out of the podcast, it's those casual listeners or the people that are going through something that the ads are really there to support. Though there's times the ads revenue comes and goes, and that kind of makes it. Anyway, I'm just going on and on. I appreciate you listening to the show. And yeah, I'm just trying to talk this out and see, and start to kind of lay the groundwork for, can we get there? It'd be great if we get there by July, because that's kind of the time we're looking at. But it's like, yeah, to the end of the summer, because we've been making the show 11 years, and there's been other times, like, there hasn't been a time like where it's looked like this, but there have been other times where there's been sudden surprises and we've cut back and tried to do our best. But yeah, this is going to be a first, I think, for the podcast industry. And it was like headed that way longer than the past few weeks. And it's just, and like that's what I've been talking about on the show for the past couple of years. It's like, hey, we really gotta, we're trying everything we can to keep this podcast going for you. So to be here, because I want to be here. I'd like to, like, there's so many ideas I still have creatively, and it's in the times of the great stress that I'm the most creative. So it's like the new ideas and the stuff we're trying out. It's exciting to keep making the podcast and the creative constraint around the show. And again, the paradox is, like, in the other times in the past when it's been the biggest struggle to make the show has been when it's been the biggest struggle for everybody and the most people have needed the show, whether it's those situational listeners or those super listeners. So if you're a super listener, you'll feel super, I don't know, I don't have a tagline. But yeah, really hoping to be there. I'm sure a lot of people watching this already support the show. Yeah, like, if you support the show directly, you're already doing everything you can. And like I said, like, I think this is achievable. There's been other times I've gone into these things like having a little bit, we've never focused on this before, right? Like where it's like, and this kind of focus, the show has kind of been, as if you've been paying attention, you listen to ad supported versions of the show. It's like, I don't know, become more and more aware of, like, oh, how many people get the most out of the show, and how many of those people are out there. So Yeah, I don't know. And you can always let me know. You can always get a hold of me through the contact form on our website. That's the best way to get a hold of me. Um, and thanks so much.